Welcome to Annamalai University, Directorate of Distance Education Management Wing. The course on Research Methodology and Statistics presented by Dr. A. SELVARASU, Professor of Business Administration and Management Wing Head. The course on Research Methodology and Statistics, we have a Telegram group and Telegram channel where the textbooks in soft copy and PowerPoint presentations and personal contact program lessons from various centers are being live streamed and recorded and shared in the Telegram channel. Join the Telegram channel through mforum at AUDDE100, and also you can request for the channel link to Professor at Cells in Telegram. So we are operating Telegram as the point of contact for lessons and personal contact programs. The lesson teaching is going to be on learning objectives, course outcome and syllabus, and the syllabus would be of 6 units taken care and dealt in detail in the self-learning material by various lessons. Mostly the lessons are being grouped per unit. 4 lessons are incorporated, and all the lessons in detail are made available in the self-learning material. You can read the material, and if you have any clarification and you have any feedback, you can communicate with us in Telegram at prof_cells. The first learning objective of this course would be to equip the basic understanding of research methodology. Why this research is conducted widely, academically as well as consulting for the companies in industries and also by the government missionaries. How the research is being conducted and what methods are suitably adopted by the researchers while conducting the research. Broadly speaking, it's the available information, data being collected by the researcher and analyzed, and the results are declared in a scientific way, and therefore we call it as research methods and methodology. And that will be the first learning objective. The second learning objective is to provide insight into the applications of modern analytics tools and techniques. The commencement of statistics and hypothesis testing was initially given large importance. Later there are multi-variate analysis included and multi-dimensional scaling being included, and various new techniques of analysis have come in, and being in the social media and how the social media data could be analyzed, or analytics we say normally Google Analytics or Web Analytics, and how these data can be analyzed in a different measures using modern techniques and tools. That's being dealt. And how do we impart knowledge in data collection and research tools, how the tools are made, and what are the techniques of they're collecting data. That's being dealt in the third learning objective. The fourth learning objective is to deal with parametric and non-parametric tests used in business decisions. Parametric decisions are normally the scientific data, or when the measure is in numbers, numerals, and how do we analyze in a statistical manner. Non-probability data, when the data is not in number, signs and symbols, how do we analyze the data and give an interpretation to the business decisions. And likewise we have course outcomes. The first course outcome is about analyzing descriptive statistics, mean, median, mode, standard deviation, kurtosis, variance, and all these. How do we assess the frequency of data, distribution of data, and how do we infer whether the pattern of distribution is following normal distribution, and that way the distribution of data could be assessed using descriptive statistics. One can gain the analytical skills, and the second course outcome would be one has to be in a position to evaluate the importance of sampling and statistics. how the population could be studied using a small portion of sample, and how do we extrapolate the decisions from sample to the population. How do we estimate the population parameter using the sample statistics. That's being dealt, and one has to gain the skills in evaluating that. And the third course outcome would be building the confidence to apply business statistics. People should not have fear in applying the statistics, because statistics is mere a scientific way of dealing data. And how do we purify the data, and how do we aggregate the data, and how do we standardize the data. Once you standardize the data, and the standardized data could easily give us a real inference about the business decisions. And the fourth outcome could be analyzing the data in an appropriate manner, conducting the research and analyzing the data in an appropriate manner. That would be a behavioral pattern of a researcher. And then you have how you establish and execute a good research report. It's readable to technically and also by the public or the stakeholders who is really going to use the research report. So one has to establish the skill to execute research in all perspectives till they produce the report. And you have the course outcome 6 to develop and recommend changes in business practices, because this research outcome directly could not be applied easily. So one has to give managerial implication, has to making a changes in particular pattern of activities, and that activities how it is going to help in the outcome or the result. And a change in a meager level could also have a major impact. In a machinery industries like precision of the machine, the precision may be very less thin, but if that is going to be modified and completed in all respect or resolved in all respect, that could change completely the outcome of the business. So in that way, one has to be in a position to develop a plan of action and how this managerially could be applied in business and recommend these changes in the business. So these are the learning objectives and course outcomes for the business research methodology and statistics. And now we are going to see the syllabus. We'll start with the first unit, which is dealing with the introduction part of the research methodology, wherein we have what is the research, what is research process, and how this research problem is dealt, and how do you formulate hypothesis for a given problem, how do we mobilize various literatures available in the industry with certain findings which are generalized, and how do we formulate hypothesis, and how do we design a research for a specific problem. Each problem could have a different method of approaching the research problem, starting from the definition of the problem and the collection of reviews and formulation of hypothesis. All these three things put together can define a particular pattern of research. Could be exploratory in nature, could be descriptive in nature, could be experimental in nature, and could also be a causal in nature. So different designs are available, and you can do it in a quantitative, qualitative way, fundamental and applied research, things like that could vary in various ways. Empirical research, various forms of research can be applied depending upon the first three phases. And the research design, which is again the fourth aspect or fourth component of the research process, also includes sample designing, data like observational designing and operational designing. There are four important components of the research design that could vary depending upon the research approach that you do it. And the phase number 5 deals with collection of data and how do we execute the data collection process in the population or in the market or in the business as such. And we are having about the sixth phase of our research process is analysis of data or testing of hypothesis, and if any, is that sometimes more number of hypotheses will also be there. Depending upon the hypothesis, we have to apply specific tools to test the statistics. And the seventh phase would be interpretation and report. And how do we generate report out of the findings that we have come up? In doing this whole research process, how do we deal with certain aspects are fast forward and certain aspect for fast forward alone. So how do we interlink and see the starting from the defining the research problem till the making a research report. So it's nothing but a 7-stage research process available in research methodology book that we recommend for all the students to follow it up. So all the research process, component of research process, why do we need scientific research, all that is being dealt in unit number 1. So unit number 2 also, before going to unit number 2, we also have a simple formula which is defining the research problem. So research problem, when we say, it's purely the probability of outcome. So for a given problem, what would be the probable outcome? So P represents probable outcome, O represents O1, I would say, outcome. So I represents individual, it could be a company or it could be an employee, and C1 is course of action, action 1, and N denotes environment. So probability of outcome 1 for a given individual or individual firm for a course of action 1 and in a given environment is not equal to the probability of outcome 1 with a given individual or a firm with course of action 2 in a given environment. So when you change the course of action 1 and 2, probably the probable outcome could also vary. For example, in the marketing context, different P's of marketing we have studied in the marketing management as a subject. So course of action, I would say product. So offering product 1 or product line 1, product formulation 1, maybe a liquid formulation of detergent, and the other course of action product 2, powder form of product detergent. So if you change liquid formulation of detergent and powder formulation of detergent, there always be a probable outcome of sales. Sales might vary. So that is the simple way of defining a research problem. So it could vary for a liquid detergent for a given individual, remain same. Maybe an employee who is working in a government remains same. In a government office, an individual is working, but what he is using liquid on one hand, powder on the other hand. So these probable sales of liquid detergent, sales of powder could definitely vary. So that way, a simple way of defining a problem can be done while defining a research problem. And I would say the research process goes with exploratory in nature to exploitation in nature. So exploration in nature, which is normally called as qualitative research. So I would say the research which is not prevailing or dealing with the prevailing problem. A problem is unique in nature and first time in the market, and therefore there is no other information available in the market. So you do a qualitative study to gather or define the research problem and research hypothesis itself. That we call it as qualitative study. Research starts with exploration of research problem or research hypothesis itself. That's where we call it as generative and explorative research. That's the broader perspective. Most of the research could be on the qualitative in nature, and then you go to the heuristic or the level where you can define research problem will be there that can be described. So or otherwise we say descriptive and explanatory research. That is the second stage of research, and most of the academic researches are descriptive in nature, but people in the industry and consulting could take care of the exploration research or the generative, because they are dealing the customers and the sellers directly, and therefore you come up with a new problem in the market, and therefore more a number of qualitative research could be done in industry or consulting firms, or a firm which is having the research unit or research department. And you move on to the evaluative research or experimental research, that we do it after the descriptive research. Once you want to make a unique effect or experimental variation in nature, or you want to find out which size fits to a particular customer, size fitting to a particular set of customer or set of segment. So there you can go in for making 3 or 4 variations and study with the customer group, and that will give you insight which particular size is more convenient, or what is the normal size of an Indian or normal size of a man, what is the pattern of human men, height of a man or the body size of a man, so that you can make shirt sizes accordingly. So that way experimentally you can study the customer group and do the research. And finally you come up with cause and effect research. Causal research means cause and effect. So if you change promotion, give little discount, what happens to the sales? Increase the discount, what happens to the sales? That way you or otherwise in employees context, incentives, rewards are given in organizations to motivate the employee in order to make them better performing in their given task. In that way you can increase the incentive size or reward so that the employee performs better. What would be the appropriate incentive that could make an employee to make work? So it could be a cause and effect nature of study. So all that will be dealt in first unit. Unit number 2 takes care of data collection. Data collection, as I have given a picture about ZMET, patent protected qualitative technique to collect data, and that's a very interesting marketing qualitative tool which is available in the market. So data collection has a unique phases. So you move on from storytelling about pictures, and then you go on to the missing pictures. So first allow the customer or the respondent to tell a story by collecting few number of pictures as much as they like, and in the second phase give them an opportunity to tell them what is missing, and they can also tend to add the missing picture in the second stage. And third stage would be try to group all the pictures that being collected by the respondent in different meaningful patterns. So grouping of picture would be the third stage or triad task. And then fourth stage of data collection will be metaphor probe, expand the frame. So you can the storytelling could be expanded with metaphors. So we can relate, for example, butterflies, peacock, and celebrities like in the Tamil industry, or in the Bollywood, Hollywood. In all these celebrities are given some unique metaphorically they are given features. That way you can group the pictures. And then the next stage, sensory visions, non-visual and metaphors can also be added. Senses, 5 senses we have, which could be smell, touch, and all that senses could also be added in along with the story or along with the metaphor. So then you go into the making of a clip. So with all the storytelling, with all the pictures, grouping of pictures, and theme can be established for the metaphors, and adding all the senses, you come out with a whole sum of data, and that data can be made with a clip, and that clip will be a pooled data, I would say. And then you have the digital imaging, taking the pictures. You can do a digital imaging by grouping the picture in the third stage, triad stage, and you can add color, or you can add package, or you can add other features by adding more value to it. So that way digital imaging would be of interest. So all these are data collection for qualitative analysis, Zoltmer metaphor elicitation technique. And then you have the analysis phase. In the analysis phase, what we do is make an interpretative loop. What consumer thinks of it, what researcher thinks of it, how manager thinks about the picture, and that way make an interpretation. Different people look at the picture and try to give their feelings and emotions, and therefore you will get a different interpretation for a same picture. And then you try to construct development. For each of the story you try to make constructs so that they will be able to understand the pictures in a much better way, and different dimensions or components can be made. And then you make a consensus map where the constructs can be grouped together, and it can be related with the personal data, who is providing the data based on the demographic profile. From that perspective, you try to combine the data and relate the data with their metrics, and then use exchange of information, personal information and other things, and make an metaphors and try to make a report on that. This is a beautiful way of understanding the importance of data collection. Normally we say collecting data using interview schedule, collecting data using questionnaire, and observing the data. These are various forms of data collection techniques, but the understanding on the importance of qualitative data collection would add more value to it. We will be dealing in the unit number 2. And third is about parametric test. As I told you, normal distribution or various distribution of data is available. A Poisson distribution, normal distribution, chi-square distribution, student distribution, different binomial distribution. All these data, what is the pattern of data prevailing in the market. So that could be put in, and analysis could be made whether the purchase of a particular brand follows the normal distribution, or purchase of a medicine or drugs, whether that follows a Poisson distribution or a normal distribution, whether the Poisson distribution maybe in the railway reservation system or travel tourism industry, whether the pattern is following a Poisson distribution or a normal distribution. So purely looking at the numeral data or numeric data, all the parametric test can be done. So parametric testing is to explore the sample data and to make interpretation to population data. So that way numeric data could also be put into the parametric test, whether it is scale data from maybe a 0-point scale or equal interval scale. And you have non-parametric test data and the skewed data, where there is a qualitative data ranking of particular phenomena, ranking of your performance, and that could be done in a non-parametric test. It is not could be done in the parametric test. So you have Ruskell-Wallis test, McNemer test. So many tests are available in the dealing with the non-parametric tests. And we have multivariate analysis, where there is a perceptual mapping. You can several dimensions put together form a factor. Multi dimensions can be grouped and plotted so that you will be able to get the segment or grouped data, and multidimensional scaling techniques, multivariate analysis or multiple regression and factor analysis. All that is newness or unique pattern of accommodating multiple data, multiple dimensions into a single phenomena, and dealing with the single phenomena would help in making decisions. In that way companies can come forward and make perceptual mapping, multiple analysis of multidimensional scaling, how one is interested in designing a product, and all that could be done in multivariate analysis. And unit number 4 deals with report writing. So when you are writing a report, you should be in a position to write the report with ease. People should understand with a pictorial, the infographics we say. Infographics is that writing a paragraph is very important, you must do it, but at the same time the whole paragraph can also be put in a picture with numbers, and so that the reader will be easy to understand, quick grasping will also be there. So that way how infographics can be used in report writing, and what is the style of report that you are preparing, what could be the pattern of reporting, could be interpretation style, and all that will be dealt. And we come to the self-learning lessons materials that is available in the books. So we go with the first 12 lessons are basics of research, review of literature, research process, research design, sources of data, measurement and scaling techniques, the nature of field work, sampling, hypothesis testing, t-test and z-test, f-test, measures of relationship, correlation and regression, non-parametric tests, sign test, chi-squared test, Mann-Whitney test, multivariate statistical analysis, Ruskell-Wallis test, structural equational modeling, that's being given the modern pattern of analysis, bringing all the variables in a single frame of outcome or output in a picture or a map. The equational map, that structural equation modeling being dealt in the 19th lesson, and you have cluster analysis, research report, types of reports, mechanics of writing a report, and precautions for writing a research report. All that's being dealt in the self-learning materials provided to you, and you can refer to the self-learning material, learn it with the understanding, and if there is any difficulties in understanding a topic, or if you would like to add feedback, kindly connect with Telegram. We are available in M forum at AUDD 100, and myself as the management wing head and coordinator, I am available in Telegram at Professor PROF_cells. So looking forward to the next presentation of lessons maybe 1 to 6 that will be made available to you. Looking forward to join in the next presentation. Welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you.